Oh, look, we have matching headsets.
I know.
People will say we're in love. Anyway, on to the show.
Zen in the car for the spiritually minded liberty activist on the go. Liketh, shareth, subscribeth. It's what the cool kids do.
Anywho, uh, so now we're officially recording, which is good. So welcome back to the Starships Enterprise, Adam. We got a lot of feedback from the last two-part episode that we did about demonology and exorcisms and all of the darker aspects of things. But I did, while I have you back, and I did promise one of our listeners um, who was really into it, they did want me to ask you. It's John, one of our guys out in New Jersey, who is sending me a Doctor Strange pop. He wanted me to ask you, since you beat your case, why isn't the state giving you anything for whatever was not given back as far as money? And where did you work in Arizona? I did hear you mention something about some type of supervision. Did you take it to trial and found not guilty? So if you care to expound upon that for John in New Jersey, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. So to be very transparent and clear with everyone, my case, as we're moving forward here, the reason I'm on supervised probation is because I actually took a plea to a class 6 undesignated felony. Wow. And that plea and that choice was done not only by myself, but I'm a council of advisors from South Central North America, because of the extent of the crimes 10 times greater than I ever committed, that the state Homeland Security has to make me disappear with inside the system. We saw that through the sacred fires, through that. And it was, so we prayed on this. We did many ceremonies for over a month, divination, that it was very hard because I grew up as a trooper. It's about wisdom and knowledge. And it was about listening to the dream and the insight. We had ceremonies and guided sacred ceremonies through the central fires that showed us this. So they were ready, and they were ready to basically bring in corrupt information, which did happen. They were having a Schedule 1 drug that they call cocaine and crystal methane, and this was not true. This was not the case. And we felt that, we knew that from the inside, which was probable cause to let them say, here's a Native American church, here's, a man that's doing this. But on the other hand, he's got inside of his operations and with his sacraments religiously and federally protected, we found cocaine, and we foresaw that. And it came out in the end, for those that are listening, it came out in the end through evidence that arose. And so that's why I decided to make the choice and to navigate through that and accept that, because a lot of good innocent people, they'll stand and go through trial, go through all that, and still be convicted by the local juries. That we don't have to get into that story. That would just override that if they could show what I call false flag or false information that they would attest that they pulled from their field tests and lab tests. And we did find that out. So for those that are listening to, when we got back December 21st, we found, and we also acquired all the lab tests and all the reports from Partners Against Narcotic Trafficking and the local Yavapai Sheriff's Department, along with the state and district attorney office. We pulled all that evidence out of the hands of them and found that to be true of what, even stating that, and which was, we know where we stand, we know what we had. And so So basically at this point right now, for those that are listening, when I did that, I agreed to a 3-year supervised probation. And I had already moved to California. So in the state of California, class 6 undesignated felony or misdemeanor does not acquire supervised probation. So it's really a logistical and a massive hiccup between the state of Arizona and California why I'm even on a 3-year supervised probation. You know, to the state too, they'd rather employ me than destroy me. Like that, the probation. I've been negotiating with probation officers in the local and Mendocino County to actually work with these sacred sacraments and these medicines and the way of life that I live to actually help assist and turn the ship around from the drug problem, from the sexual abuse problem, from the problems, mental health problems here in the community. So it literally, I was utilized also once again to literally go directly inside of the system so that I can also make a change on many levels within inside of the system. And so that's what's going on right now. And we're going to be going back into court here very soon and getting the class 6 undesignated felony dropped. Actually, we helped change the law. The lawyer that I was working with, criminal lawyer, we helped change the class 6 undesignated felony as of January 2023, this year, just a few weeks ago, has now dropped to a misdemeanor. My lawyer has actually gone into the state and helped negotiate. Off.
All right.
Yes. So the class 6 undesignated felony as of January 2023 has now dropped to a misdemeanor. So basically, I go back into court as soon as we can get the resources to rehire the lawyer that has already been on the case. She's willing to take it. We get the monies that are needed to do that, and we get that misdemeanor. You know, I think it's called a deferred judgment or dropped and erased off the record. So that's where we stand, and that's the process I'm in now. And I was told through prayer and guidance that should be able to be taken care of by this spring or sooner. We just need to get in there and file this ASAP. And
so to summate, and so that I can understand, the listeners can understand, essentially, whenever the state did come against you because of the stigma of plant-based medicine, and in the area that we all work in with that in our different aspects, you know, the hardest part is removing the stigma and going, these aren't drugs, these are plant-based medicines, and they're protected by the First Amendment and a whole lot of other things. In prayer and meditation with elders and other people like you and ourselves, the path of least resistance was to take the plea deal to get out of harm's way, and
yeah,
and that worked out. Now, you know, me and you had a lot of discussions about that during the ordeal, and it's like, do you, don't you? But what's the path of least resistance for the great work?
correct. Yeah,
And now we're at a point which we talked about last time where you got all of your medicine back. Now you're in a
correct.
really good space. However, we can't answer all of John's questions if they're, you know, in for future litigation that may occur. But where you're at right now, and we feel incumbent to help you, is to rebuild what you had established prior to the ignorance of the state of Arizona, to rebuild it. Okay. Now,
Exactly.
of course,
So
all the links will be in the Christ box below for the listeners, but please tell people how they can assist you, how much your rate you need to raise, where they can find the avenues in which to help you rebuild.
yeah, so again, we really give thanks. I really want to give thanks to you specifically, you know, here and your organization and all the efforts and all the people that you've also brought in to support us monetarily. And then the most high is through your prayers and your ceremonies that you did. So that's where we made a difference.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I do what I can, you know, in my weird space cult. Anywho, Uh, do we still got you, Adam? All right, he's frozen like a bad comic book villain. The internet keeps freezing our guest.
Like the sweater
Individual,
he's got on.
yes, yeah, we
Okay.
have individuals that have made personal donations, not through the GoFundMe, like through PayPal or Venmo and things of that nature, emailed us individually. When I say us, it's basically the International Center of Spiritual and Ancestral Wisdom. So I have that center that I was building along with ONAC of Ixal, which represents Oklevueha Native American Church of the International Center for Spiritual and Ancestral Wisdom. And that campaign, we had it $250,000 because at that time we were going to go to trial, take it all the way. We're about to update the GoFundMe and update my information along with these videos that we'll be sharing here with a new budget or a plan, not only to pay the lawyers, but to build the foundation back. So it's not only are we working in the court systems, but we're also want to reestablish basically the foundation all the way to my home. So home/church was taken away. Business was taken away. Commerce,
Wow.
all my documents, all my papers, my family revenue for all the life's work, and over $100,000 infrastructure in the business was basically deleted by a decision made by the local
Wow.
state attorneys. And that's just on that project. That's how quick they did it. So the new budget, I believe the council's talking about to bring that down to about 120 and to assist also in the deliverance of the information. So the resources and the monetary contributions, along with the spiritual affirmations and all of your prayers, every dollar and every cent will be utilized to create a foundation and a pillars with these different organizations so that this doesn't happen again to any individual in the future. So we've been tracking the whole process all the way through. We've been documenting paper-wise, photo-wise, video-wise, and ceremonial-wise to do that. So the resources and contributions will be utilized to build that and platforms so that we can help others in the future, individually and organizations. I had a meeting earlier today about, what were you doing, Adam? What was one of the main things with your plant medicines? And that was cultivation and preservation of the plant medicines, specifically peyote, especially in Arizona, which was a legal thing to be doing. And I had been doing that again for the listeners. I had been working over 22 years, dedicated my life for the preservation and cultivation of these sacraments. They had destroyed 22 years of
Wow.
cultivation and preservation. They destroyed the medicine. Now, one thing that they did do that was good is they preserved it in a -4 temperature, which left it frozen, just like in Star Wars movie or something. Now, they put them in the freezer.
They put it in carbonite.
Yeah, froze the medicine so it could be reutilized. And they did give back all the sacraments. For those that are listening, they did give them all back, which can be worked and utilized in our religious ceremonies. So, but planting and starting over from seed, yeah, we have to do that. We have to build the infrastructure. We have to utilize the funding that's coming in now to rebuild 22 years of infrastructure that was basically destroyed, all the way from greenhouses. Just the new infrastructure in 2021 we had built was over $100,000 from donors and supporters over the years to create the systems to be able to bring this medicine to the people.
Right.
So we want to rebuild that and work together with others in alliance to do so.
And I don't want people who listen or subscribe to us to kind of breeze by it because, there are a lot of people who put GoFundMe campaigns out there, and we will listen to a good podcast and listen to a cause, and we'll think, yeah, that's a good cause, but sometimes rarely do people actually contribute. But for your mission, I want people to really look, go go without a soda for a day and donate what you can, because in this work specifically, and we're going to get into why this work is so important as we progress through this, but when you have somebody like Adam and people who are connected to him through a myriad of organizations that are literally putting their necks on the line
Right.
to defend your right for you, then at the very least you can donate $1 or $2 that you would buy a soda with, because every penny really does count. And it's like, look, everybody in the country uses cannabis. It's stupid for, we're just talking about one plant, cannabis. Everybody uses it. Everybody really needs it in their body. And it's like, how many times do you listen to apathetic people say, well, when the laws change, but they're not willing to do anything to change the law or
Right.
the status quo. And it's like, here's Adam, who is standing up for an entire nation. The least that somebody listening could do is hit a donate button, and then
Right.
check. And it's like, for everyone who did hit like, because we got a lot of good feedback from the last episode, which we're about
We
to get into.
did. You were popular, Adam.
And it
Well,
was,
I want you to know I have a very large following from around the world, and my work is always about building alliances like with both of you here this evening and other groups, and we do have for those that want to make larger donations. We have ways and organizations, a federal ID, or we could use if there's an organization out there that could be a co-op, not for profit, that could help bring money in, we're open to that. Also, joining the team here and such. So, feel a part of this. I'm not alone in this. We're all doing this together, and it just happened to be me that this happened to. And my elders say this was a good thing. As soon as I called them up, they said, okay, now you know what our ancestors have been doing for thousands of years, and they said, now you have the opportunity. You will be the voice and the interpreter for the medicine. So now you can speak on behalf of the protection and safety and preservation for these plant medicines. And I didn't realize it in the time of all these years of training and the work that one day this would happen. But now I understand that the plant medicines are asking me, I'm getting chills, full body chills right now, asking me to be an advocate and continue this work,
right. Well, our job is to help your voice get much, much louder,
Yes,
much
thank
louder.
you.
But so I do want to kind of get into the meat of this one and piggyback off of the last topic, which is, when Teams In had you on last year and we introduced you to our audience, we primarily had the discussions up until this point about the benefits of preservation, cultivation, and protection of plant-based medicine. And those of us who are involved in this kind of work, we know that it is to alleviate trauma, alleviate, addiction, alleviate mental disorders, emotional disorders, a lot of that stuff. And we didn't expect to do it, but the last one that we had you on, we opened the topic of the darker aspects of, hey, when we look at the world right now and the way it has been, where
Spiritual
is,
warfare.
yeah, the spiritual warfare aspect of this, where is all this damage coming from? And what was weird, Adam, and Mona, you can attest to this because you were right here with me, is when we started talking about that subject, your
Yes.
feed would cut off.
Something did not want that information out.
Yeah.
Every
And,
single time.
and you never had trouble uploading a video or yeah.
No,
It was weird.
it was during the interview, and then when we were over in editing, Adam, it was weird because every
Yeah.
time that we would try to process the video the exact same way that we've done for years, and it happened to be every time we started hitting on negative entities and where they come from, there was every issue that I've never seen before started to pop up.
Yeah.
And it was like, you don't want to be paranoid, but it's like, what are the odds? What are the odds?
I understand. I've been well,
And right there, he freezes up. No
Well-
worries. All right, are you back?
yeah.
All right, I understand. Go ahead.
Yeah, when we get into the depth of these topics in our councils, and especially using digital technology, is that they're tithing their root energy and their root cause that created these systems, utilizing crystals, utilizing gold, utilizing the networks. They're utilizing them. Their frequencies were set to disband or discard or corrupt or inject that lower vibrational energies or hertz into these systems. They've been implanted. The Apple, think about Apple computer, the bite out of the apple, the Garden of Eden. So we're actually, the platforms we're using are staged also to technologies to basically create a poltergeist, or the vibration where it's going to break up the frequency and vibration of the what's being delivered out into the world.
Yeah.
And Mona, I know you're aware of this, but when we're talking about frequency, and most people don't realize that it's like 1% of the visible light spectrum that the Homo sapien senses can actually pick up.
I was about to say, if you're spiritual and you're connected, you can feel it. You can definitely feel it.
Right. And
Yeah.
beyond the 1% of what like a meat person suit can pick up, there's way more going on
Right.
in vibration.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and you know, like cats can see it, animals can see it, dogs can see it. And you, like for example, we have a dog here, we call it Space Dog Adam,
The
and
metaphysical dog.
it's it's
Nice.
the plain walker dog. But in the middle of the night, everything will be completely peaceful and quiet, and then all of a sudden the dog will perk up and start barking at something that apparently isn't there. And it's like, yeah, it's there. And and this has been in every spiritual system in school and scripture for time immemorial, that there are consciousnesses that are beyond our ability to perceive, that are affecting and influencing us and always have been. And
Yeah.
with the and it's not an advent of technology, because this is a repeat of the cycles. This is a reemergence of technology that they're utilizing. Is that
Yeah.
kind of along the
Yeah.
same lines of what you're talking about?
Absolutely, all the way to the past civilizations leading from Lemuria, Atlantis, into the present time. And
Oh,
if you
yes.
follow and track the time cycles of 11,500 years and back, and the cycles of the Mayan systems and the galactic federations and the landing and the planting of the ancient sites and the wisdom and knowledge and the use of plant medicines along with technology, they emerged, science and religion, it all became an emergence, and we're moving into that same pivotal point
Right.
right now, through the Zoom, through the transmissions, and with our consciousness through these plant medicines. And so I spent years researching and traveling the world and working with specifically this, what we're speaking about now, with the ancient sites around the world, with technology, and with the earth energies and ancient wisdom and knowledge of why and how they utilized them for those specific times. We used to travel with dowsers and geomancers with the machinery to read the things that we were sharing with them, and the vibrations and frequencies that were coming out, emanating from sacred sites and Serpent Mound and these different holy places, and how they would utilize plant medicines, how they would utilize the technology. And it went beyond this world. We call it the intergalactic. There was an exchange going on, as above, so below, and inside the earth, because all of this all these machineries are coming from inside. And so it's like the toroidal field. We're also creating this system. The earth is allowing us to create the system, and cycle after cycle after cycle, the free energy. So we spent years traveling and being able to gauge that. And scientists, I've had several people that have written books. There's a few blurbs in there. Most back then I said I don't want my name, but they put some books out and information. But it's a direct tithe into what we're doing here, the manifest reality from a holographic world, which we live in holograms and holograms within inside of holograms, which we see in our apps, which we see in Zoom. And so those are all regulated by vibrations and frequencies, and most of the time it's a controlled environment. So that's where we see disruption happening in the media. You see it in the media, the red and blue, the presidencies, the good and bad, our movies that you see here today, it's the same movie repeating over and over and over, different characters, but they keep coming back. Same like us. We keep coming back, different characters, we keep coming back, and we're playing this loop, and I am in consciousness and trying to ascend this loop and transmit it to bring it back to the negative and positive polar to work within the intermediate space and time. So that's part of my objective. And then that, in that instance, is where we can create this transformation, and what's leading into the topic of where the root cause is coming from. Our root cause is from our sexual misinterpretation and the abuse of our sexual and physical abuse that has been generating this source of energy and being fed off of that abuse in distortion from the beginning of time.
Before Zoom took a strike at us, you were on a tangent there, right? You were on a tangent there, but I think Mona wanted to say something about what you were spitting.
Oh, so I got chill bumps because literally me and Daniel verbatim were talking about what you were talking about just a minute, just now. It's just so crazy.
Before the call, yeah.
Yeah.
So which leads into the distortion where I left off, correct?
Right.
Correct.
This is the distortion of the sacred divine feminine and sacred divine masculine. Distortion of our sexual organs, of our creativity, of our God-given right to be incarnated gods of ourselves, to create other gods, and to be able to do our most highest work. So what has been distorted? Part one thing that's been distorted is our capabilities of already coming in with the wisdom and knowledge, already being birthed with the divine plan, and being able to listen to the mother herself, which means honoring and respecting the woman, honoring, respecting the earth, and in reciprocate, being able to listen and honor the masculine, divine masculine. And in that interweaving, in that spiral, in that system, is also, that's where lies our DNA. And we change our DNA and our systems between the mother and the father to create the oneness, the creation of the sun, or the son of creation, or the moon, the daughter of creation, which births more of our humanity. That wisdom and knowledge has been squashed. And what does that come with? The ancient wisdom that has been squashed through sexuality, through abuse and damage on religious orders, and by individuals, men and women have participated in it, is our knowingness and our intuitiveness that will all come with the hive mind mentality and the collective consciousness of the earth, Gaia, Mother herself, to be here together to do the work and service and cultivate the mother herself, and to explore through our sexual energies, to explore the laws of origin in and out and through the universe.
Universe.
And the universe presents herself as the sacred womb of darkness. And in that, the light of God, the divinity of man, can go through, with permission, through the different levels and the gates of the darkness and of that field into higher understanding and consciousness and awareness. All those levels purposely have been squashed and taken out of our humanity, masculine and feminine. And we see that here today. So that's in one aspect, one level we're looking at, but we all have come here with that knowledge and with that wisdom, purposely and knowingly saying, I'm going to come here at this specific time and date, incarnate into the earth, be here present. So it's a huge topic. It's very important this is shared. You see it in the news all over, them being exposed, religious orders being exposed, governmental orders being exposed. You see, on and on and on, that happening, and it's being exposed within inside of us.
Right.
So we have to do the inner cleansing and the work. It's our responsibilities as individuals to do that work as women and men.
Amen.
So let me ask to try to simplify it for people who aren't as deep into all of how this works as we are. For example, let's say a particular listener at some point in Gnosticism, we call it the great treasury of light, where the source of the Father God is. They choose to incarnate into the darkness of the material world of the mother, or as you call the universe.
Yes.
And we are prepackaged with the big mission in us as we come in or descend into the chaos. However, when we do incarnate, there is typically some type of a break in communication from source that begins in early childhood development through sexual trauma. Is that a good?
Correct. Now, yeah, it's a very good, it's a basis of that, because number one, our mother and our father, they were incarnated with this, and that knowingly or unknowingly, even despite in the union of sacred union or love, that was still in the conceptual, structure from their mothers and their fathers and great grandmothers and onward. So that's there. And then we step into the A, B, C, D's, E's, F, G's, all the way to Z's, to dis-ease, to disharmony, 1, 2, 3s, on and on and on. The infrastructure, how we've been laid out and programmed, removes us from that original instruction, the original thought, removes us from our own mothers, our own fathers, that now have already been birthed into separation. And all we want is union and come back into the oneness. And that's, so there's been a disruption, and religions have been set out for that. The governing bodies have been set out for that. It's like their duties, and unknowingly, those that are in charge of religious orders, except the very high up orders or the governing bodies or the very high up, are just following orders or following suit or doing apparently their jobs. And so that has been a huge disruption here, and utilizing the sexual energies and lower vibrational energies, some call it chakras or gates or codes, primarily from the mother of creation herself, from this planet, have extracted continuously for hundreds of thousands of years from the mother herself. So the extraction has brought damage to the earth herself, which is a direct reflection of the woman nation, women, direct reflection of the men, of our imbalance and out of balance of the resourcing from woman, from the mother. So there's a whole education of how can we return back to the origin of custodian, the gates of the universe, of the darkness, to be able to reemerge out from the underworlds, to be able to come up. We have been trained through religions, governmental bodies, that it is scary. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to look at the underworld. Nobody wants to look at their shadows. But if you walk in the sun, you're going to see it. If you work with any agencies or anything, you're going to know it's there, but you don't want to speak about it. You don't want to recognize it. You want to look the other way and watch the program, become a couch potato, and just continue on with everybody else.
This goodness has been brought to you by zenandthecar.com, powered by CannaSense. CannaSense Total Wellness provides Americans in all 50 states with lawful, organic, lab-tested medical cannabis and therapeutic psilocybin to its members. Membership to join our collective is as simple as filling out a sponsorship form at cannasense.com, uploading a photo ID showing 21 and up, and putting Zen in the Car as your sponsor. Once your sponsorship form is approved, members will have instant access to our apothecary to view and order from our menu filled with flower, edibles, vapes, topicals, supplements, and a myriad of other intake methods best suited to your needs on the path of recovery and wellness. The mission of CannaSense Total Wellness is to assist all Americans in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness through our God-given right to plant-based medicine. They provide discreet shipping nationwide, typically within 3 business days on most orders.
Links to their sponsorship form are in the Christ boxes on whichever platform you found us. Or just make it easier on yourself and scan the QR code thingy on your screen now. Obtaining your clean, lab-tested medicine doesn't have to be complicated because CannASense is common sense. Join Team Zen in the Car on the journey throughout the Uberverse with the right vibe. And don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe it to all our super neato internet doohickeys. Zen in the Car. It good for you.